Welcome, my name is Ihza and today I will be performing a code review for my eportfolio. And you can access that eportfolio at ihza430.github.io. Now for this code review, I'll be looking at 3 artifacts. These artifacts come from final projects from courses I have taken here at SNHU. These artifacts coincide with 3 different categories. The first one being software engineering and design. The second is algorithms and data structures. And last, databases. These categories essentially make up the scope of computer science. So I will go into detail about each of this category and the artifact that coincides for. Now for the code review, I'll be looking at a checklist, and this checklist consists of 6 different topics. First, I'll be looking at the structure, then the documentation, whether there's comments available. Are these comments meaningful? Do they have a purpose? Then for variables, I'll be looking at the name of the variables, whether the naming is correct, are they meaningful, are they concise, and are there redundant or unused variables? Now if arithmetic operations are present, do these operations follow arithmetic rules? And for loops and branches, I'm looking if they are complete, are they correct, and are they nested properly? If there's a case statement, is there a default case? And for loops, are they termination conditions available? For defensive programming is essentially the security of the code. Does it prevent unwanted users from accessing the software? Now for the first category, which is software engineering and design, I have decided to combine 3 of my classes that I have taken. The first one being CS250, Software Development and Lifecycle, IT315, Object-Oriented Analysis and Design, and CS320, Software Testing, Automation, and Quality Assurance. For CS250, the main topic that was talked about was agile development. And you can see here is a graph of what agile development looks like. It's really the unique thing about agile development is this topic or of iteration. Unlike waterfall development really doesn't have a way to go back. Agile development's all about repeating itself, going through the process again to make sure to really have your system have all the functionalities within it. Now for the agile development, there are 4 roles. There is the Scrum Master, the Product Owner, the Developer, and Tester. And IT315, it helps provide a way for a development team to take the requirements that clients have given and put it into an organized manner. And these tools can be the use case diagram, the CRC cards, and the sequence diagram. As you can see, it's a nice way to put all these requirements into something that a developer would be able to easily follow. Now for CS320, it's all about testing. There are 3 types of tests. There are unit testing, integration testing, and system testing. For the artifact itself, I'll be using the code that in CS320, and we got go ahead and go check that out. The code in CS320 is written in Java, and it is a medical application. You can see here. Let's go ahead and look at the main class here for the app, and here the user can log in and choose from a list of options. They can print all the patient lists, print the doctor list, add a doctor, add a patient, look at their medical records, search for allergies. For the patient, you can go through their medical records and see if you can add the treatments, medications, and allergies of the patient. Now let's go ahead and look at that. And here's the main method right here. And for the employee, you have to have a password in there, and the password has 3 attempts. And as you can see here, the attempts is spelled wrong, so that's something for variables that we are looking at. So we have to change that. Okay, if the while, here's a loop while clause here, and if the password attempts, as long as it's greater than 0, a user can keep entering their password. Now if the login is successful, they will go to the medical prompt, and here, as long as they don't press 0, they can go through these different cases and these options, so they can get all the patients from the system, get all the doctors from the system, add a person, go back to the medical prompt, get all the patients with the allergies, and if they do click 0, they will exit the system. And here's a default case, which is for break, and here is if the user uses up all of their attempts for the password, this will print out saying that their password is invalid. And here's for adding a person, so you can add a doctor or a patient. So if you add the doctor, this will happen, else it will be adding a patient. And now for this loop clause here, as long as the input is not 0, which is exiting the system, then you will be able to do this. And if the person is added, this will have it successfully added. If it's not, the patient or the doctor couldn't be added. And afterwards, they have an option if they want to add another person or return back to the main menu. Now that's basically the app class, and there's really nothing in terms of structure, or we look through the loops and branches and the variables. There's one variable that we have to fix, doesn't look right, but the really big thing here is there is a lack of comments. There is comments up here, but once you get down here, there's no comments here for the cases or the other for adding a person. Really don't know what this would be, and so putting a comment here would really explain what this is all about. Now let's go ahead and look at the services. Now the services consists of two services. Let's go ahead and look at the doctor service. And here we have a comment right on top, and as I am reading this comment really does not have any meaning to it. There's no use here, so we would have to change that. And then for the doctor service, we would change this comment to something, what is the doctor service? And looking at the code right here, it looks like for the doctor service, it is getting a list of all the doctors and being able to add a doctor here. And there's an if clause here to create a doctor. Doctors need a name and ID. And here for creating a doctor, they have to have a unique ID, and if they don't, then you can't be added. So that's what it's saying here. And we would need a comment here to explain what this is all about. And that's pretty much all for the doctor service. Now let's go to medical record service. Supposed to be record, so we have to change that. It's like a variable. It's not correct. And here is another comment as the same one, I believe, as the other one. Not very helpful. We would have changed that and just explain what the medical record service is. Going down, it looks like it's for listing patients and medical records. Gets medical record services here, gets a list of patients and medical records. If you're adding a patient, and if the patient was added, then it'll create a new patient, and then you can add medical records for the new patient. Now this is for getting the medical record, and it needs the patient ID to get the medical record. Now this is for getting the patient, so this is if they'll match the IDs and get the patient with the matching ID. This is for listing all the patients, and then getting the patients with the same allergies. So if two patients have peanut allergy, this will be used so that a user can view those patients with those allergies. And again, there's really lack of comments here. You need to change that. Nothing of, again, structure looks fine. Variables needs to change this variables here just to make it clearer, but nothing really in terms of loops and branches and other of the topics on here. Let's go ahead and exit out, and let's look at the prompts. The medical record prompt, and here it says here, this class creates the prompts for the medical application. So that's a pretty good comment to just telling people what this is about. Now for the list of stuff, they can add a treatment, add a medication, print the patient's treatments, print the patient's medications, add allergy, print allergies, and then go back to the main menu. Now for the main prompt, they will be entering the patient ID. If they can find the patient, then you can go through these different options. So that you can add the treatment to the patient, add their medication, and if they have treatments, get all their treatments. There are medications. If they have a new allergy, you can add that, and then get their allergies. If the user chooses 0, it will go back into the main menu. And there's another default right here. And this else statement is if the system cannot find a patient with the same ID. So that's what we'll print. Let's go ahead and go down. And this is for adding allergies. And so again, while you're not hitting that 0 here, it will enter an allergy, or so hitting that 0, which is returning to the medical record menu. So here we're entering allergy, and if it's a new allergy, it'll go into there and then add it to the add the allergy into the patient history. If the patient does not have a medical record, they cannot add the allergy. So a patient must have a medical record to add an allergy. Now let's go ahead and go down, and this is the same basic idea except for treatment. And looking at it, there's nothing really same format, same kind here. And would you like to add treatment? Same thing as that one up there. This is for printing out all the patients with the same allergy, and then adding medication, same as the treatments and allergies as the one above. And looking at it, again, there's nothing really wrong. Am I looking through the variables, the structures of it? Nothing really looks really wrong. The one thing I will do is definitely, again, lack of comments within here, but besides that, there's really nothing here that I see changing. Let's exit here, and let's go back to the last one, models. Basically all of these, from allergy, doctor, employee, medical record, medication, patient, and patient history and treatment, they have all the basic structure that I'll show you. Let's go ahead and look at allergy. We would have to change that. It's allergy. It's spelled wrong. So we would change this. But here's the comment. This class represents the allergy model in the application, and all they need is the name. So looking this, it looks fine. There's nothing really wrong with it. Go ahead and look at the doctor. And here's the comment. That's all you really need for here. And you need the name and the ID for the doctor. And everything looks fine. Go ahead and look at the employee. For the employee, you need the name, the ID, and the password. Here's the comment. This class represents the employee model. And looking through it, again, there's nothing really wrong with it. Medical record. For the medical record, it will call upon the patient class and also the patient history class. So they will call upon that, and we will look at the patient and patient history after. And same thing, comment here. That's all you really need. And here's the medication. For medication, you need a name, the start date, end date, and dose. There is a misspelling right here. This is supposed to be medication. So we have to change that comment. We go down, and again, pretty much the same thing as the other ones. nothing looks wrong with them. Let's go ahead and look at the patient. For a patient, you just need the name and ID. And like I said, for the medical record, I believe it was the medical record, they call upon this class. Yeah, for medical record. And then for patient history, let's go ahead and look at that. For patient history, there can be multiple treatments or medications and allergies that a patient can have, so that's why it's a list. So we can look at that. This is the comment. Use the add treatments, add allergy, and here for medication, you can't add a medication if there's no treatment. So there has to be treatment for you to add a medication. And for this one, I would probably add a comment here just explaining why we have this here. And then you can get a list of allergies, getting all the treatments and medications. And so that's that comment right here. Everything looks fine. And then lastly, the treatment. So for this one, here's the comment. Treatment date, diagnosis, and description. And it's really everything. And there's really nothing wrong with it. So that's the code review for the first article for category 1, software engineering and design. For my enhancement, really I want to look at the agile development and how these tools take a part and testing takes part in it. Because for agile development, you kind of take a step back. Here I want to be in a full immersion of the agile development and take someone into what it actually is. And for the code, I know that there is errors in it, so this will help kind of really show the process of testing and then going back that process of iteration. And that's really my enhancement, is showing the whole process as a whole and fixing this code and showing it as part of this process. For category 2, algorithms and data structures, I'll be looking at the class for CS260, which is aptly named Data Structures and Algorithms. The data structures I use for here are vectors, hash tables, and binary trees. For the algorithms, I use search, sorting, specifically quick and selection, and then hashing and chaining. So for the code, it is in C++, and what it does is handles the bids using the different data structures and algorithms. Let's look at vector sorting first. Let's go ahead and look at that. So it's nicely commented on top, naming what it is, the author, which was me, the course, date, all that good stuff, and a description. So this one's for vector sorting algorithms. And here is the libraries that are added to it, and here is the database, the file containing all the bids. And as we go down, nicely commented, is the global definitions visible to all methods and classes, and this is the structure for the bid information. So for a bid, it consists of the ID, the title, the fund, and the amount. Let's go ahead and go down. For this one here, this static methods used for testing, you'll be able to see all of this throughout the 3 different ones. So for vector sorting, for the binary search trees, you'll be seeing these, and they're all consistent the same. So let's go ahead and look at this, and then we can skip through those for the other ones. Let's go ahead and look through them, see if there anything structural, concerns or variables, thing like that. Entering ID, entering title, funds, and amount. And then this is loading the file containing the bids. Again, you will see all of this on the other ones as well. So if we check it now, we don't necessarily have to look deeper into it besides skimming and seeing if they're the same. And looking through this. And now here we will implement the quick sort logic for the bid title. And go here for partitioning them, and going through all the different bids. And here's the actual quick sort for the the bid title and apply name quick sort. Gets the bids. Let's go look at it, and that's it. And then here's for the selection sorting. And looking through this, nothing really looks anything of the concern. And this one you also will see throughout all of them. This was a typical something you'll see is common through all of them. And then here we are. This is the main function, and define a vector, CSV, timer, and then the choices for them to load bids, display all bids, and the selection sorting and the quick sort. And you can enter the choice, the user can enter which one they want. And then here's for the each specific case. Let's go ahead and look at that, their choice. And there's here for case 2, this is for loading and displaying the bids. And then for the selection sorting, looks fine. And then the quick sort, just looking at that. And then this is the last one. I do see that there is no default case, so we will have to add a default case. As for the comments, I think this one is fine. There's not really anything else of concern here in this code. Let's go ahead and look at the next one, which is hash tables. And here are the libraries that are included with it. Again, similar format as the other one. And same thing here. This is for hash table. This is the class for hash table. And here we are. Define the structures for the hash table. Let's keep going down. This is to hold the bids, as you can see here. And here is to find a hash value of a given key. So searching for something. This is for inserting a bid in the hash table. This is printing all the bids and removing a bid. And see through it quickly. And everything looks fine. Okay, let's go ahead and go. This is for searching a bid and returning it. And then, like I said, this was common to all of them. We can quickly look through them just to make sure that everything looks fine. And nothing looks different from the other one, so that's fine. And here it's same thing here. And then here we are at the main cases, and then here, and then here's the menu all print out and the choices. For this one, it looks like I didn't comment it as much as the other one, so just explaining what each case is. And here again, what this is for displaying all the bids, printing all of them. This one is for finding a bid, and this one for removing a bid, and then this is exiting out. I would definitely add more comments over here, but as again for the structure, anything like that, it looks fine. Let's go ahead and look at the binary search tree. Same format as the other one. And let's go ahead and look through it. Same thing over here. And this one we're doing binary search tree, so we have the internal structure for a tree node. Kind of tells what this is right here. And probably change the fix me. Forgot to say this, but change the fix me, so just to give that comment because we no longer have to fix it. That was there just for reference of making sure that I did them. So here we are for the class for it, for the binary search tree. Let's go ahead and look through them and the variables and go and look. and everything looks fine. Tree in order, to order tree. Now this is for inserting a bid. This was for traverse the tree in order. And this is for removing a bid. Let's go through that. And everything looks fine. Here's searching for a bid. And if else, that's fine. Then add a bid to some node. Let's go ahead and look at this. Is inserting a bid into the tree. And current key. Okay, those all look fine to me. If and else statements, that's fine. And then these were the ones that, like I said, this code was common through all three of them. So we can quickly just go through these just to make sure that they're okay. And looking through them, they look fine. And nothing looks different from the other ones. And then here, again, same one as that. And here we are at the main again. And looking through these. And the same one. And here's the menu again. And the choices. This is for loading the bids. This is for displaying all the bids. And for 3 is searching for a bid. And removing a bid. And there's no comments here, so I would really like to add more comments here just to explain the cases, as in terms of structure or the loops and branches, any arithmetic operations. Everything looks fine. Nothing really looks anything of concern. Now for category 2, for my enhancement, I would like to add, because these are just talking about the basic data structures and algorithms, I would like to go more in depth and talk about the different data structures like trees. For example, the AVL, spanning, and tree traversal, and stack and linked list, singly, circular, and doubly. So I will be talking about these as well, kind of expanding on when it's appropriate to use them and why would you use them over other data structures. And for algorithms, I'll be looking at different searches like linear, binary, and interpolation. And looking at the sorting, I'll be looking at bubble, insertion, shell, and merge. Again, like the data structures, I'll be talking about them, explaining what they are, and showing when you would use them over other ones. And as for the code, I'll be giving out, like, again, using the bid, handling bids, and using these kinds of data structures and algorithms to handle the bids. Again, like for example, like these ones, I'll be providing an example and showing how to code them for C++. Now lastly, for category 3, it's on databases. And I'll be using CS340, which is Advanced Programming and Concepts. So there really is 2 main types of databases that you can have. You can have relational databases, which is like MySQL or like Oracle. For this one, I'll be using document-oriented database, MongoDB. And for the artifact here, we are given internal stakeholders had a database of different companies, and we were to explain to them how MongoDB will be able to, how they would be able to use it and what it does. And so I was able to create these and show them as an example to internal stakeholders. Now this code is created in Python. Now you'll look, I would have tasked to do CRUD functions, which is create, read, update, and delete, and also tasked to retrieve certain data and aggregate them. So let's go ahead and look at insert, which is essentially the create. Let's go ahead and look at that. So here we are. Off the bat, you can see the things that were imported, the variables, and this is how to define inserting what a document is. So pretty much if the result, and then save the document into the collection, and if it's not, it will abort. It will show this thing here, abort 400. And then this is for the definition of what, when you do main, it will have my document. This is what you're putting in, inserting the document into. There, as in Y is the structure, and the structure of it, there's nothing really wrong with it, and there's no really loops and branches. The one thing I would say is that, again, there's no comments in here, so it would be nice to put comments here and just explain what this is for. Now let's look at read. They were looking at retrievals for read, so let's go ahead and look at that. There's two that I've done. Retrieval 1. So retrieval 1 is basically getting a key. So the key was the 50-day simple moving average, and we had to look for values within that range of 0.01 and 0.06, and that will print out those documents. And same format as the other one, very similar, same thing on top, and this is for getting the document. And if it's not the document, it will abort it and say that there's no document within those range. And then this is for the main menu, and this was the key and the value that we wanted. And this is for printing out. They will execute the get document here. There is no comments once again, so that's something to look for. Loops and branches, there's really one, and it looks fine. Structure looks fine. So really just, again, the comment. And let's go ahead and look at the second retrieval. Basically like read. Let's go ahead and look at that. And for this one, we had to find a key or value with this ticker. So with the industry, so that was the key, and then the value. So any companies within that have industry equaling medical laboratories and research will be printed out, and it will print out the ticker for it. Again, same thing on top, not anything different from the other ones. Again, there's no comments here, so that's something to be added. In terms of structure, really nothing to be of concern. Now let's go ahead and go to the update. So if we were updating documents, the top pretty much the same, and here is what updating a document. This is how they do it. Again, if it's not the result, then it will abort it, so saying that there is no document with the key and value pair that you want. And here is the key and value pair. So it was a ticker. We're looking at the key, the ticker, and if that ticker equals test, then we will update the document, the volume of the document, to 200. And lack of comments in here, so that's the main issue. As terms for anything else, nothing really looks wrong with it. Everything looks fine. Okay, let's go ahead and look at delete. And for deleting, import. So same thing on top as the other ones, and this here is defining the delete document. And if you're not finding the result, they couldn't find the key and value pair to match that up. There is some comments here. Finds document to delete the match, so that's good. Here as well. And here's for the main, and then for deleting document with that key and value pair. It looks fine, and we see here that we do have the comments here, and everything looks good. Now let's go ahead and look at aggregate. So this is to aggregate, so to make a list of stuff to get, and here we are, same basic thing as the other one. And now we're aggregating, so anything within the matching the sector, the value that we give, and then we're going to be grouping them and putting up the industry and the total shares, so which is the sum in the shares outstanding altogether, and it's put into a list, and then they print it out. Again, no comments here, so you'd have to add comments. As long as the structure variables look fine, nothing really of concern here. Now for this, there was also a RESTful API. This was used for the client, so this is mainly for the server, and then now we have the client that can use URL commands, and this is what it's for. Now we can, same basic thing on top. You have the imports here, some of the variables. Here we are defining insert document. As these ones, this is the same one as the insert document before. Here's the different one right here. This is for, as the comment here, define what to do when creating through a URL command. So they would type in the URL, and then they would type in create at there, and it will do these commands, and it will read it and then put it into the database. Now let's go ahead. So if it's not data, let's go ahead and look just to make sure. And then here, this is initiating the insert document here. Utilizes insert document as it says. And this is for getting the document. And we have here some comments, which is nice, telling us exactly what we need. And then here is for reading it, which is essentially getting the document. And here we are, define what to do when reading through the URL command. And it will get the document that matches the ticker. So it will ask the user, the client, which ticker they want. And go ahead and go down. If there's no result, then it will abort. Keep going down, and here's to update the document. Same one as the other update. It was just put here for the API. And it looks like everything is good. This is for the URL command. Again, it's requesting a ticker, so the update, and then here is it will ask the user for the ticker, and it will ask for the price that they want to change. This is for updating the price. Let's go ahead down, and this is for deleting the document, so deleting documents in there, and for the URL command for deleting. And here we are, this is a specific retrieval here, which is, so it will get the ticker, match the ticker, and then it will only print out these specific documents: the ticker, the company, the sector, the industry, the PE, the beta, the dividend yield, and the price. It will only get those information for the matching document. And let's go ahead and go down, and this here for this retrieval, it's defining what to do to get the 5 stocks within industry. So if the company is within the industry that it says, so like say finance, then it will look for the top 5 stocks that are within that industry. You see here, again, there's nothing really wrong with it. And yep, so there was comments in them. Everything looks fine. There's nothing wrong with variables or the structure of anything, and there was not really any complex loops or branches that we had to watch out for. So I think this one is good to go. Nothing of concern. Now for this category, my enhancement, not really doing anything much with the code per se, more of taking expanding on the retrieval processes and retrieving useful information that the internal stakeholders can use. Before, I was just telling what the stakeholders how to do it, but now I will be using data mining and actually report useful information to the internal stakeholders so that they can make smart business decisions. And that's what I will be doing to enhance this category on databases. So this is the end of my code review. looking at all the three categories that I have. In conclusion, I really have to work on putting more comments in there and looking at the security of it, as I wasn't able to test it fully here, and actually look for the different requirements, make sure that that is what a client would have wanted to do. So these enhancements, I'll see the final product of this will be on my eportfolio at, again, Ihza 430 at github.io. And thank you.